guys, welcome to Hardcore Metal Detecting Radio with Derek and Craig. Hey, we're going to get started tonight. Our call-in number, by the way, is 352-504-4170. If you guys want to call in and kind of join in the conversation, or maybe you have a topic you want to talk about, that's fine. You can give us a buzz. Craig and I just, I've been running all day. Hell, shoot, last 3 days, Craig, like crazy. But I did manage to get a permission on a property out of the blue. I was over at the VFW post and sitting there talking to a couple of friends, and some people came in. They used to come in all the time, and they hadn't been in a while. They working and all that kind of stuff. And he goes, "Oh, you do that? You do that metal detecting, don't you?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Where'd you hear that from?" He goes, "Oh, I was talking to so and so, and he said you found a bunch of stuff on his property." And I said, "Yeah, I do it for fun, and try to find stuff, try to save some history around here." So there's a lot of stuff going on people don't know about, and it's we find stuff all over the place. And I said, "I just pretty much do it for fun." And he said, "Well, I have a property out here," and he showed me some pictures, and he has these huge. Craig, these trees have to be 300 years old. I mean, they are big, wide, heavy-duty oak trees, live oaks, and I said, "Where's this at?" He goes, "Oh, it's over, over near Center Hill. It's just about maybe, I don't know, 12, 13, well, probably farther than that, about, we'll say 20 miles away, but it's not that far." And it turns out, he goes, "Well, you come over and metal detect?" He goes, "I found some stuff already." And he pulled up a picture of it looks like a blacksmith axe. I mean, it looks pretty old. I haven't seen it, held it in my hand or whatever. He goes, "I found this just laying in one of my fields." And he goes, "I think it's pretty old." And I said, "Well, it was definitely made. I could see the tooling on it, like a blacksmith tooling or whatever." And I said, "It is pretty old. I mean, it was obviously blacksmithed and everything." And he goes, "Yeah, we got these. I heard that you can find stuff around trees." And he was going on and on, just selling it. I'm like, "Maybe, brother, I'll go out there and see what I can find for you." He goes, "Oh, you do that?" I said, "Yeah, I do that. I don't care." I said, "Really, all I want is a picture or photo of what I'm finding." And I said, "Yeah, if I find a bucket full of gold, we can split it up." And he started laughing. He goes, "Well, you never know." I said, "Yeah, you just don't know." I said, "It's always, you never know until you get it out of the ground. But, if you could save a little history, and maybe find something that was, on your property that you can kind of talk about a little bit, it's a good conversation piece." And he was all into it. So, it's kind of, you never know when it's going to come up. I mean, they kind of, around there, obviously, I wear, my detecting hats and stuff like that, so they know I'm into metal detecting anyways. But more and more, Craig, I figure more and more people want to know about it. They're interested in it. So I'll get to showing them, like our Instagram page or something like that. I say, "Yeah, it's something to do." And we do a podcast radio show, and and a lot of them kind of tune in. I've had a couple tell me, they have fun with it. I am trying to work on the sound a little bit more. I guess I got one of somebody, I can't remember if it was on iHeartRadio or whatever. They made a comment. They like the show, but they can hear me breathing so much. I said, "Yeah, these doggone microphones, it's trying to get these things adjusted right, Craig. It just frustrates the heck out of me." So I moved it back farther,
The quality's too good, I guess.
What's that?
The quality is too good. Picking up every little.
Yeah, I mean, it's just like, I know that there's programs and stuff. I'm not a big into this as far as, the electronics part of it, but I am trying to work on it. Probably just need to get a different kind of microphone. This one works pretty good, but
does it have noise canceling?
Yeah, it has noise canceling. What I need to do is, there's an adjustment you can make on these. I got to get like a soundboard up on here, and it really turns the microphone off, and you have to hit a certain when it hears a certain level of your voice, it turns on. And trying to hit the mute button, I've had more problems out of this mute button on this particular screen where I click on it, and sometimes it doesn't turn off or whatever, and it's more or less my fault more than anything else. But I'll figure it out. It just as we get better equipment and stuff, it'll all even out in the end. But I'm sorry about that. I guess the guy said he likes the show and everything, but he didn't like the fact that he can hear me breathing. So I don't like it either. It's not as bad as it used to be. But I remember when we first started with Mixlr, my gosh, we had so many problems, this and that and the other thing, and a lot of it dealt with the signal and stuff, their whatever their processors or whatever it was. We probably look into them again too, Craig, because Mixler, they may have improved a little bit. I listened to a couple shows.
It's the Liberty Sale at Mattress Firm. Get a king mattress firm.
Okay, what's up with that, Craig?
I was looking at Spreaker, and then all of a sudden I had to. It was funny. I had the sound all the way off on my iPad Pro, and I went to hit the thing to see what it was on chat, and it all of a sudden the volume's at full.
Oh, I know, it scared the crap out of me. I was like, whoa. It didn't sound like you.
Yeah, but I turned the volume all the way down on the iPad before I even, hit the thing. So
yeah. I got Gab. Yeah, I got Gavin on here. He says, "Morning all, coffee time," and he said we're in Australia right there. That's kind of neat. You guys tune into our morning show, and it's nighttime for them. It's kind of neat. We're just bouncing around. I think we'd metal detect 24 hours a day if we could. Seems like anyway. But yeah, it's just dealing with different electronics and everything. It's not my forte. I've had kind of learn as I go along. I guess it's the same in everything in this hobby anyway. Doing videos and everything else. I know, Craig and I were just talking earlier before the show that, now YouTube won't let him put a video over 15 minutes or something like that on there. And I'm like, what the heck is that all about? That, they changing these rules around as they go, and it makes just so much. All you're trying to do is put up a metal detecting video, for crying out loud. It's not a. It's just for fun. Fun for the hobby.
Normally, I don't, put up videos much of more than 15 minutes, but I had one about maybe 4 months ago or 3 months ago that it went 32 minutes, and it was allowed. There was another one that went like 25 minutes, I think.
I'd swear they just change these rules around all the time. It just doesn't make any sense. But.
Well, it was weird. I had a couple other problems with this, but I did a video on the car show, and every year we have a car show on Main Street here, and I just walk out the door and just start filming, and looking at all the cars and just, walk up and down the street. Goes on for about 6 blocks, and I got, cars sideways stuck in, probably at least 150, 200 cars. And they got like a raffles going, all kinds of stuff. It's like a town party.
Right.
Pretty cool. But anyway, I do the video, and it was like 15 minutes and 58 seconds. And I go, oh, too long, so I had to knock out a couple clips, to get it down. And so then I upload it, and I guess it was uploaded about maybe 30 seconds. And I'm trying to, play it, and it won't play. And I'm like, and then I get this message that there's something wrong. I have to go over this page, and it says I got a strike against me on this video. So I'm like, what the heck? I'm going to have a strike against me, So I go over there, and so I get an email from YouTube, and it says, don't worry, you're not in trouble. You're not going to lose your channel or anything. But there's somebody wants money, I guess, because of some content that you have on, that they own.
Copyrighted.
Yeah. And copyrighted. So turned out it was Bo Diddley, who, it's a lame song to begin with.
Yeah.
Anyway, I was playing in the background. So that's what it was. So I just deleted the video, and I just said, heck with it, because it, basically, they had speakers up and down the street just blaring music the whole time.
Yeah.
And this is like the third car show I've been to, and I've done them before, and I never had any problem. But I don't know.
Well, that's the weirdest thing, Craig, because when I post up a show on, when we do shows here, they automatically upload to my the Hardcore Metal Detecting YouTube channel. Whatever, it's my old YouTube channel, same list tool and all that stuff, but they automatically upload them. And some of our shows are 2 and 3 hours long, and they upload them on there. And I don't do it for any just because they offered it. I just did it, where they transfer them over, and I don't have to mess with anything. Just kind of go over there, and we get like, I don't know, 5 or 10 views or whatever on there.
It might be because it's not really a video; it's audio.
It's still 2 hours worth of,
so
Yeah,
but it's not taking up a lot of bandwidth because of the video part.
I guess that makes sense.
I think that's the only way I can figure they're doing it.
I just pretty much do it
because I see a lot of people, most of the people that are podcasting, put them up on YouTube or
right. I mean, it's just another place that some people might want to, they regularly check out the page or whatever. They can listen to the show from there if they wanted to. And it's about getting the name out there and everything, and hopefully they enjoy it. I haven't had very many bad comments. I was kind of just thinking about it too, Craig. The guy that was saying that as far as the breathing or whatever, you can hear a lot of background. That he may have been listening to an older show where I was using that gaming headset, and that thing was. I mean, I couldn't move that thing far enough away from my face. I mean, it's like I could hold it across a room and it would pick up any little, flea fart almost, and, it always aggravated me. So, it just trying to learn how to adjust the stuff and everything. But he may have been listening to an old archive show too. And, I figure, if that's the only thing they got to complain about, well, by golly, I can deal with that. I'll try to fix it the best I can. But, it's all work in progress the way I look at it. But, we were talking, all the stuff that this hobby leads you into are, different avenues, and you spark other interests in other hobbies, and whether it's bottle hunting or I don't know, arrowhead hunting, or it just kind of leads you down that path, or maybe videos, photography, just all kinds of stuff. You dabble in and learn how to do, and it's an adventure just trying to get this stuff working right. I mean, I spent hours and hours when we first weeks trying to figure stuff out. I know when we had Loy on, he was saying the same thing. When he was dealing with that Skype thing, he was, spending, a lot of time trying to figure that whole deal out. They don't make it easy on you. I don't know. It just seems to be a little bit frustrating anymore, but,
it seems like he helped them out,
helped us out.
But, well, I mean, they seem to not know what was going on, and it's like all the research I've been doing on podcasting. It's almost so new that things are happening that can't be predicted.
Right.
Like the fact that people are listening into their cars when they first started out. I mean, who would have thought that? Most of the listening is in a car, on the way to work or just when you're in your car instead of listening to the regular radio.
I listen to their shows. I mean, I go across town, or if I have to go to Orlando or whatever, we do a lot of stuff because of the doctor's appointments and all that stuff. And heck, I put up, Relics Radio or Beyond Sight and Sound or whatever right through my car stereo, my cell phone. I just hit it, if they're, through Spreaker or wherever I use Spotify a lot of times. It's nice just to hear the show and not, really have to worry about what's, traffic or whatever. You just kind of cruise along. It's kind of nice, when you don't have to listen to a bunch of, I don't know, people trying to play like they have something to talk about, I guess. I don't know, the way that regular radio is. And I don't know, it's like watching the news. I mean, everybody has a job to do and everything, and I get it, but the fake concern and the fake happiness and the fake, you could tell when a person really doesn't want to be talking about a certain topic or something like that, or whether there's a car fire or the weather. You just can kind of tell just by the way their voice is, or if you're watching it on TV or something like that, the way their mannerisms or whatever. It's like, God, I hate fake happiness, fake being mad, or fake whatever outrage. it bothers me. It's like, I just like them to say, look, I really don't care about this topic, but I got to talk about it. Like a real person newscast or something. That'd be kind of nice.
Yeah.
But just call it like you see it, man. But I know they got to earn their paycheck and they got to do it, or they're not going to have a job, obviously. I just like people tell it the way it is, not just, I don't know. It's just news, it's a lot of it. That's the reason I don't watch the news a lot anymore. Usually I find out from somebody, hey, did you hear about this? And I'll go back on the computer and, find that news story or whatever and watch it or listen to it on the computer. Just because I get tired of all the junk on there, man. I know I'm not the only one. I know, like Bill Maher, he's the same way as I am about it. He could care less, about, a lot of this hoopla, for lack of a better term. But I guess, just do it.
Yeah.
Oh, go ahead. Sorry, Craig. I
What?
get rambling.
Well, it's like they keep trying to ram this advertising down your throat. They're making so much money off of it, and there's actually an antitrust thing against them, or a court case against them by PragerU over basically stifling people's thoughts. If you don't think a certain way, then they won't monetize you. And Prager University does all kinds of history stuff, and
Right.
none of the stuff is particularly controversial. It's just about some of the topics are controversial, but a whole bunch of they had over 100 monetized videos that were suddenly demonetized, and this is happening to a lot of people. They go back and they look, and all of a sudden there's 30 monetized videos, and YouTube never even told them that they demonetized them. And some of these have been up for a year, 2 years, 3 years, and all of a sudden, they're demonetized. And some of the people are, getting them back up. They get them reviewed, but something's got to be done about this. But the advertising is just, there's now. I watch YouTube a lot, and it used to be you could click off the ad after 4 seconds. Now there's some that go on for 30 seconds before,
Oh, yeah. Sometimes you can't even click. You have to watch the whole minute and a half, or whatever it is. I never regret that.
They're more like a regular TV commercial, too. They're
right.
From big companies,
Mm-hmm.
and that's what it's all about. All these people are complaining that Will Smith, who doesn't have he's probably got 1 million subscribers, but he's he doesn't get the views like some of these other YouTube stars, and he's getting all the attention, and all the celebrities, all the late night comedians, and people like that are they're getting pushed. It's almost like they're pushing TV ahead of the regular creators that have been on
right.
YouTube forever.
Yeah, I don't know. Even with ours, we don't really have a choice. When we monetize, we can monetize, or we don't have to. We have a choice of, like a minute-long commercial or something, or a 30-second commercial, but we don't really have a choice on what kind of, the content of the advertisement or whatever it is. I've listened to several of them.
Yeah, I've listened to them. They're actually not that bad.
Yeah, they're not too bad. I don't mind them too much. We've kind of changed our thinking a little bit on monetization and stuff over the last couple of years, and I was dead set against it for several years. And I said, it's just the only way. They got you over a barrel sometimes with this, where you can't get out there. You're not getting recognized because, you're not monetized. And then YouTube did all their stuff, and we're just
I
putting
wanted you to monetize a year before we did.
Yeah.
I kept saying there was a couple reasons that I saw. One was everybody else is doing it, and nobody seems to be upset about that. So
right.
And the other one was, I think if we do, then we'll get more will get pushed out there because these things have a logarithm, especially
Right.
YouTube. But I'm sure the podcasting's got the same thing because they got us, they're probably not as good on search, but search is very important if you're going to find, programs to listen to, or different podcasts to listen to.
Right.
So it's the same kind of thing. And, so I figured if we are monetized, we're going to get pushed out there. And I mean, it blew up, we could see it, first couple of weeks it started, we could see we were getting more downloads.
Yeah, well, that's one thing I was going to say that, I've noticed, since we started, I think our first month was in April, maybe it was May, I can't remember now, but when we first monetized the show, and, it's like we got like $15 or something like that total for the whole month, and, and we've more than doubled that now. We're probably up to like $1 a day, maybe a little bit more. It equals out to be like $1 a day or something. And they pay you like, the month after that or something. I figure if it can pay for the show, or some of the show anyways, and get me into the black instead of being in the red all the time, it'd be okay. And I really don't mind. If anything else, you can go, do something else for 30 seconds or a minute. I just didn't want to bombard everybody, but I don't really mind it too much. Damn, what are you doing? Somersaults, Craig?
I was sitting on the cord of my headset.
Oh, okay. I was like, dang, it sounds like you're doing somersaults, buddy. But yeah, I mean, I don't really mind it too much anymore, but I do listen, everybody seems to be doing it, like you said, and I'm kind of stubborn when it comes to that. Because I kind of, all the telemarketing and all the other garbage, and all we're trying to do is do something about metal detecting, or treasure hunting or whatever you want to call it, different hobbies like that. But I like the fact I've heard a couple that are metal detecting related or whatever outdoor activity related. So I wish they do more of that, and try to single out the, if you're doing a podcast show about cars or something like that, well, have an auto part, commercial in there, not I don't know, whatever, have something related to whatever the show is. That'd be kind of nice. But we really don't have much choice about what commercials they put up there. Now they have a thing where you can promote yourself, and it costs you so much money per month. I haven't even gotten involved in that part of it. We put the Patreon page up for that, and I figure, there's a lot of stuff Craig and I want to try to do in the future, and want to see what, how many people we can involve in this, because really, it's a great hobby, and there's a lot of people that really, a lot of good hunters out there. I know a lot of them that others don't even know about. I mean, they haven't heard me. Craig and I know them because we've been in the hobby so long. Where these guys are, wicked awesome, and what they do and all the stuff they're finding and everything, and really. Those are the kind of people I want to go out hunting with and stuff like that, and have fun, learn something, teach something, whatever. And Patreon is a good way for us to kind of do that, to be able to get better equipment. Of course, every time you travel or whatever, it costs money, and we're just regular guys. We don't have a pocket full of money to go and do that. And a lot of you guys are the same way. We're all just kind of enjoy the hobby and everything, but we have life catches up, and we got to make sure the family's taken care of and everything else first. So that's where I was saying, I told Craig, I said, man, it'd be really nice to be able to take a trip somewhere, meet up with somebody in some other state or whatever, video it and all that, and be able to, for the people that can't get out there and do that, at least they could see it happen, and they can live part of it that way. And that's what we do when we watch videos anyways. I watch these guys from, around the world, really, out metal detecting or whatever else. I'm able to live that adventure a little bit through the videos and stuff. And so, we're just trying to take that to the next level. And that's what pretty much what I'm after. I love metal detecting. Why not do it? Why not involve as many people as you can in the adventure? So, because there's not very many adventures out there anymore, it seems like, Craig. But metal detecting seems just, or any kind of treasure hunting kind of thing, just always has interested me. I watch a lot of the shows on TV, and I see them using metal detectors, and we mentioned, several of the shows on television and stuff or on the cable or whatever, but do it in the right way, and it's like I don't know. I don't crave the, oh my God, they went out metal tech and they found 25 gold coins and some silver and this and that. It's all well and good. It really doesn't matter to me what I'm digging up. It's the thought of going out there and doing it, and finding some history of some kind, and being able to rewrite something at least a little bit would be kind of cool. But so many times I hear these horror stories about, oh, you're going to go out metal detecting at such and such a place, and this is what you're going to find. And I won't go for that. I'm not playing that game, and I know the people that was told to that said the same thing. It's not what it's about. It's not about what you're digging at. It's what you go through to find it, the adventure in finding it. It's all shocking. They talk about reality TV, and we found out years ago that reality TV, they're staging a lot of this crap. I have no use for some of these shows. They don't even deal with metal detecting, but I mean, I don't watch them. It's a bunch of drama. If I want drama, I just look around me. I got, the world's full of it. I want something that's real that, hey, if I don't go out and find something, oh well. I mean, we it's real life. We go out all the time, Craig. How many times have you gone out and got skunked? It happens, but it doesn't mean we don't enjoy doing it. But then you have other days where you find it.
It just made me want to hunt harder,
I mean, it's what we love to do.
It sometimes, it was kind of like, I've been having a great time at some site, and all of a sudden, there's nothing there left to find, and you hunt all day, and you might get one button or one bullet or something, and it gets to the point where then you start remembering about all the other stuff you found there, and you go, well, I can't really complain. Look what I found.
Yeah.
Or I write this place off. That's what I used to tell people. That, man, there's nothing here, and I go, well, write this place off and go to the next site. We know there's nothing here. I used to just listen for iron if I was going to a spot. If I didn't hear any iron, a lot of times, unless it was, maybe some scattered Civil War stuff in that area, then I would hunt, regularly. But normally I was looking for a house site probably in that area. So if I started hearing iron in the ground, then I knew I was in the right area.
Right.
But sometimes you got to cover ground in order at first to find the spot. I've been in woods where it goes for miles in every direction. Where you start looking for high points and you start looking for creeks. That's what I did.
Yeah.
Because you got to have water, and you don't want to be down in the swamp.
Oh yeah.
But and then there's a path between the house site and the water. And if there was any main roads back then they had a road going to that main road from that particular area. So, that's the kind of stuff that's how I found a lot of spots.
Yeah, I mean I deal with this all the time down here, Craig. I mean, it's tough finding, but when you find it, when you find the these I guess situations, whatever, when you finally figure out what was going on, what they were doing, and what you're finding and what you're sight reading and everything else, I mean, that's a lot of the fun of it, the research of it. Dang, Craig, you're falling over again, brother. You're having a heck of a time with that thing tonight.
I was trying to get a drink of coffee and hit the thing.
But it's just keeping it real. I mean, one of the guys was telling me he listened to the show, and one of my friends, and he goes, "Man, I like the way you guys do that." He goes, "How do you come up with topics?" I said, man, it just comes out. I mean, whatever we're talking about, we're not scripted. I'm not making up anything. I mean, this is what and our opinions change as time goes on. I mean, as we find more information and everything else, just like anybody else. But we just, I don't know. It is what it is. It just, if you have to, script everything, that's just not the way we do it. I can't do that kind of stuff. Reading from a script, it drive me crazy. because I don't have that talent. Some guys can do that. I mean, some
Yeah,
guys, they can do it no problem.
well, when we first met, we kind of, would just, shoot the crap,
Yeah.
About metal detecting, and that's kind of what we do now. I mean,
It's supposed to be fun, not work.
but we've been doing this for years, and we already knew a lot about metal detecting before this. But look how much we've learned just in the last few years. I mean, it's incredible, all the new machines, technology, and stuff coming out now, and it's amazing, and how much. How many more YouTube channels and stuff there is compared to when, like 5 or 6 years ago. I remember when I first started, you could, in several hours, you could pretty much watch a video from just about every major metal detector, on then. It wasn't that many. And then it just, within a few years, it blew up, and it just keeps getting bigger and bigger.
Yeah, I like it too. This hobby too. I mean, there is a competitive side, I guess, to the hobby or anything you do. But I mean, with as far as the guys that, guys and gals, whatever, that do videos and have other podcasts and everything. Never felt like it was a competition between any of us. We're all. I mean, I watch their videos. I listen to their radio shows. I do. It's enjoyable for me, just like hopefully it is for them. And we all do stuff a little bit different, but it deals with detecting or
well,
if
you go out,
it's good content.
If you go out with a group of guys, it's always a competition. I mean,
oh yeah, friendly competition is no big deal.
Yeah,
yeah.
That's fine. But some people, it's like. It's this Northern Virginia Relic Hunters Club I used to go to years ago, and it was like who's who in metal detecting, within Northern Virginia all the way out, people used to come from Fredericksburg and all the way down, that way.
Right.
But that'd be, at least 100, sometimes 200 or 300 people there, meeting. And it was like in the beginning when you get in there, there'd be just like little pockets of guys standing around talking, and showing their relics, and everybody was bragging about their relics and stuff, and people getting upset because, I used to hear all the scuttle, I was like one of the trusted guys that would, they would tell me stuff.
Right.
And they were kind of like me. They were lone hunters, they didn't hunt a lot with other people because of what what went on, and I was, they knew what I'd gone through with some of these people too, and why I didn't, I kind of liked hunting by myself pretty much, unless it was friends that I'd been hunting with, for years, which, they didn't hunt all the time, but, I'd hunt with them, but that was a little different, but there was people that were super jealous, and a lot of this is luck, when you find something good.
Oh yeah.
You just don't know.
You never know.
I used to tell people, you can be having a horrible day and you've been out there for 6 or 8 hours, you haven't found anything, and just all of a sudden you can find one good thing, and you don't even care about the other last 6 or 8 hours. It's like, that's the way I hunted. It was like, well, at least, I've covered this ground and there's nothing here, so, I'll just write this spot off, or maybe I'll come back years from now or with a different machine or something. But, it's just the way the hobby is, and you got to hunt hard. I mean, the guys that found all this stuff, and like myself, we hunted hard.
Yep.
I'd be on a construction site, and I could see maybe 2 or 3 guys and myself that were hard hunters, basically, and we're going really slow compared to everybody else. All these other people are just running all over the place, or, maybe not running, but they're
going so fast.
They're too fast.
Way too fast, yeah.
They're swinging the coil too fast. The coil's like, coming up off the ground and stuff like that, but, there's a lot of competition. There may be 30 guys out there swinging,
Mm-hmm.
and people just, as soon as they get there, they're running out there. You don't know where to go,
Right.
Usually what I did is if I saw a big concentration of people, I would head that way. Because, you know, that's where if I saw people constantly digging, you know, I'd start over that way.
Yeah.
I wouldn't crowd them, but I'd get in that area because that would give me more of a chance. You know,
Right.
sometimes I just ask people, you know, hey, where's all the relics, you know? And some of them would go, I want to know the same thing, you know, and I go.
We just kind of wander. I mean, like when we hunted up in Pennsylvania, me and you were just kind of walking along. We're talking back and forth, detecting, you know, about, I don't know, 30 feet apart or something like that. That was fun. I mean, we, you know, kind of gab, and if you found something, I can come over to you, or if I found something, you come over to me and see what we're doing. And you know, there were some guys there. They were working in another field. I remember where I found that dandy button, and you found a lantern part or something like that. Those guys hadn't really moved very far. They're pretty thorough hunters, and you know, they were digging every signal, you know, the way it should be done. And you know, everybody has their own style. But you know, it was nice to see.
The trouble was there wasn't a lot of signals. You know?
Well, yeah, but you know, it's tough. If it was easy, everybody'd be doing it, you know. So
it's like when we got in that first field, you know, and it was supposedly never hunted before, you know, and so I, you know, after I'd gone about maybe 30 yards, I realized this place has been hammered.
Yeah,
that's what that's what I thought. And, you know, then I get a signal and I dig a wheat penny down about 10 or 11 inches deep.
Yeah,
you know?
Crazy.
And I saw this green coin down the bottom. I was, oh, right, the Indian head, you know, and it popped it up, the 1910 wheat penny. But dang, you know.
Well, you know, I felt pretty good about it in a way, Craig, that, you know, hey, we went out there and we found stuff where a lot of people didn't find anything.
Yeah, I mean,
made me feel pretty good that, hey, at least I got my coil over something, you know, and, you know, whether that's,
I got a real worn straight bust from 1700s, you know, penny, large cent, and I got a flat button, couple flat buttons, I think. I don't know, a couple other things, but you know, it wasn't a lot. But I mean, how often do you get a coin from 1700? You know?
Yeah, I got my first King George II. I mean, that was, you know, because I don't have a lot of them down here in Florida, but it was nice to find one.
Didn't you get your first dandy button too?
Yeah, my first dandy button. Well, most of my flat buttons I got up there. I really don't find very many flat buttons down here at all. I don't think I ever have found one that old down here. A lot of, you know, bucket list items for me, and that's a lot of the reason I like traveling so much, because it gets me an opportunity not only to meet people that they're like-minded and they enjoy the hobby, but it's, you know, it gives me a chance to find stuff that I've always wanted to find, even though, you know, everybody else seems, you know, up there finds them all the time. It's a commonplace. You know, we talk about a lot about that. It depends on what area of the country or world you're in, and you know, it's kind of hard to dig a real if you're not in an area where they were even at. You know, so I mean, you know, our Civil War, you know, like a breastplate. I want to find a breastplate sometime, but you know, chances of me finding one in Florida, yeah, you know, they're pretty slim compared to Virginia or Tennessee or whatever. You know, there's just so much more activity up there. But even if I can go out there and have fun, maybe, you know, just to hang out with people and you know, not worry about the money so much. That's the biggest thing. You know, money, it's a necessary evil in the hobby. You know, it costs money, hotels, travel time, all that stuff, and that's why, you know, with the Patreon, as we build up the, you know, or achieve our goals on that and get the supporters, to be able to involve them in the fun, in the, you know, what is done, where we're hunting at, what detectors we're using, you know, all this, you know, kind of, they'll have a say so in it. That's the way I like it, anyways. I mean, you know, it involves others in a great hobby, you know, and even if you can't make it or you can't go on these trips because of whatever reason. I mean, I've been limited the past, you know, year or two just because of life, you know, all the stuff going on and medical stuff and everything else. It's frustrating as hell, but you know, it's stuff you got to do, and you know, you find the time to do it. And I do a lot more research than I ever did. I hated history in high school. I hated history, but you know, when I picked up a metal detector and started using it and started trying to ID things and started learning about, I'm all into history now. I mean, Civil War, colonial, whatever, it doesn't matter. It's enjoyable. It made it enjoyable. I told a friend of mine, he has a couple boys there, and I'm like, man, buy them a metal detector, man. Buy them a cheap. It doesn't even matter what. It could be $100 metal detector. They're going to have more fun with that. And all it takes is them finding one old thing that they really want to know what it is, and it's going to open up all these other doors for them. It's going to drive that interest. Or little girl or boy. I'm talking, 8, 9, 10 years old. I mean, that's all about the treasure. The pirate treasure, whatever, finding stuff. I always thought it was the coolest thing. Finding stuff like that, and it drives that interest for real history, not just what they tell you in the book. What you can put together yourself, and where things were, what they did. And, old home sites. Why were these people here? Why, where were they from? What country were they from? Were they immigrants? Were they, just all these little questions. But you find this stuff, and it's little breadcrumbs leading you to the truth. I mean, Craig, you've hunted plenty of places that, you probably got things figured out. It's kind of like your buddy next door that does the historical stuff, and he finds where the Indians. You were telling that story about the Indian dam or something like that the Indians built.
Yeah.
Nobody else believed it. He had proof of it, though. He changed the society's thoughts on what was going on there. What was real, what was fiction, and that's a good feeling. I think you contributed to history.
Yeah,
So.
He's a guy that I got into metal detecting about a year after I started. He found out that I was metal detecting and got really upset and said, I've always wanted to do that. And so I said, oh, really? And I was getting ready to get another metal detector. And so he said, got any metal detector you want to sell? And I said, actually, I got this one I'll sell to you. And he used it to Tesoro for a while, and then he ended up upgrading.
Right.
And the last one he has is the Foots Tool. He has the Nautilus also, but anyway, he ended up getting so much into. Actually, his sister is got a master's degree in historian, and she does unbelievable research. She's in her mid-80s.
Right.
But I showed her a couple of the bottles we found in the bottle dump, and she came back with a whole thing of paper on it. Printout on that bottle and the company and everything. And, it's pretty amazing. But he ended up starting, and she was also part of it, was a business called Footsteps to the Past. And they were in Alexandria, and they used to dress up in colonial outfits and do tours in Alexandria for they bring in tourists, busloads of tourists and stuff, and schools, and they did private tours, and it's a regular business. And he had I think 3 or 4 guys that were, doing tours, part of it. I think the city is kind of wants to take over it themselves, and they made it harder and harder on them, doing it. And some people complain because they're walking, on the sidewalk in front of their house or something, But
right.
If you've ever been in Alexandria, it's just like a rat race. There's people everywhere, even real late at night. It's just super busy areas. A lot of little restaurants and stuff, especially along the water. But so he's always had, interest in history, and he's read a lot about it, kind of like me. And he got more into the colonial stuff, and he's become a reenactor, and he makes all kinds of equipment for the reenactors. I've seen some of the knives and pipes and stuff he's made for them, and I'll be, come out sometimes and look over, and there's 2 colonial guys in full uniform, or standing there.
We actually, I met a guy the other day that does that at Dade Battlefield when we were up there. They're going to do a World War II reenactment. Of course, the they do the reenactment every year of the Seminole Indian War, the massacre that happened there. And he actually, I don't know if he makes them. I haven't gotten that deep of a discussion with him, but he had this box on the table when we were having the meeting. I said, we took a little break. I said, man, I got to ask. I said, I'm just being nosy. What is in that box? It was like a partitioned little clear case. He goes, oh yeah, these are they used flintlocks, back in the early 1800s or whatever, and these are the stones or 17. Sorry, I'm losing my mind. Anyway, but they use them. These are the flints. This is the piece that fits right there that makes a spark, and then they have the you had to be careful. You had to put a I forget what they call it. I don't know the technical term. I call it a pan or something like that. You had to be careful because the when it flashes, it ignites the powder to set the gun off. That stuff can come right back and hit you in the face. That was a problem. So he makes a part that fits on a flintlock to keep that from happening so severely. And then they were talking about how to load them because they have to load these things for the reenactments. Of course, they're not using bullets or whatever lead in them, musket balls. But they were saying how careful you have to be, and it can happen to anybody. The most experienced guys are the ones that have accidents because they've become not complacent, but they're so used to doing what they do. And they actually had pictures of this guy. He was loading a rifle, whatever, a musket, a long gun, I'm going to call it. And I guess the way that they had them in paper, and the powders in the paper, and they would ram the stuff down into the gun. Well, he had the wrap. I'm going to call it a wrap. It looks like a big old cigarette kind of thing. And they would hold this, put it in there, and then take the ramrod and push it down into the barrel. And he said, but what you shouldn't do is have that in your hand when you're initially cleaning the barrel out or whatever. And there was an ember in the gun, I guess in the barrel still. And he had that piece, and he actually, I don't know if it blew off of his fingers or not, but it ignited. It got him in the face and everything else. And this is a guy that had 20 or 25 years experience in working with these kind of guns. I don't have a lot. I mean, I like them, but I just never have used them. But anyways, he had this whole case, and he was kind of going through. It's kind of like a relic hunter showing his stuff to somebody that was interested in seeing the coins and the items he found. That's what this guy was like. He was all excited about it, and we spent a half an hour, and then everybody else, Pauline was there with me, and my wife was there with me, and she started, oh, what is that? That's kind of cool. What does that do? And just his little treasure, so to speak. But this is what this guy, he's a reenactor and everything, and this is what stuff he carries so that he can sell to the other reenactors, so they're safer. In other words, and they have these for pistols and for the long guns and everything, and so they're a little bit safer and everything, but they also have good quality stuff. And I think he makes a lot of this stuff, or he has somebody make it for him. But it was kind of neat sitting there talking to somebody who had such a passion for what they do, and and they have, when they do these reenactments, they at least at the Dade battlefield, I mean, they camp out there for like a week before the Seminoles. Whoever's playing the part of the Seminoles, and then the Army troops, they camp in different spots, and it's a week-long event, but they also have to be very safe. They've never had an accident of any kind there, and they want to keep it that way. And when you're dealing with, I don't know, 40 or 50 people on each side, and they got these cannons, and they're riding horses and firing these guns from horseback and everything else. I mean, they're pretty much into it. But they've never had any kind of accident, and they're really trying to keep it that way. So they have a big safety, trying to inform everybody, and it's what they do. Their hobby, and I just found it kind of interesting, and started talking to them about it, and because I find a lot of this stuff down here, the Seminole Indian bullets, the military 50 caliber musket balls, and all these little doodads and this and that from that era. We're talking 1836 or something. I just wish I could find a bunch of coins from that date, but haven't done it, so far. But they're around, and you get more information, and it shows. I don't know. You make a friend, and you never know where it may lead you, as far as the hobby goes. They may have a property you can hunt, kind of like what happened to me tonight with John. I told him, I said, man, I have another metal detector, man. I'll show you how to use it and swing it around, and maybe you'll find some more stuff. Maybe it's something you'd like to do. And he was kind of all into that. So I always say, don't, if you have a couple metal detectors, shoot, tell the landowner. If you're trying to get permission, just tell them, hey, come on here. You might spend a day, your day helping them out, but you'll be able to come back. They're going to have fun. They're going to enjoy the hobby. So you're bringing somebody else into a good hobby, and you're making a friend. So what could be better? So you may make a good friendship right there, or even the younger kids. Craig talk about it a lot. Trying to get these younger generation into this hobby. The teenagers, the 20-somethings, because hell, me and Craig gonna be dead and gone in another 20 years. Somebody's got to carry it on. And I see a lot of the ones that, well, like Maddie, like shoot. I know 10 of them off the top of my head. I just can't think of their names. But I mean, they're into this hobby. They're younger. They're going to be in this thing. They have a lot. They're learning so much from everybody around them. Like, when they turn 50 or 60 years old, by God, they're going to know more than me and Craig ever did. And I think it's kind of neat. But if you can bring somebody into the hobby that age, that's awesome. And it's just fun. Hey, keep it real. Have fun with it. If you're not having fun, don't do it. It's just, I never wanted to make this a job. Craig and I have talked about this a lot too. And, if it becomes work, then I don't want to do it. I want to have fun with it. And that's just me. I think Craig's the same way anyways, but,
Yeah, my friend Mike, he'd come around with me and Steve, and he wouldn't, he didn't have a metal detector, but he'd walk around all day with us, hunting. And one day he comes over, we're getting ready to get in the car, and I had I brought a Toltec 100 with him, and an extra shovel and a pouch. And I said, "You're going to hunt today." He goes, "Oh, no. And I said, "Yeah, you're going to hunt today. And if you don't like it, you don't have to hunt anymore." And and I said, "I got a good spot." I said, "I've been working up this road," and I said, "On the right side of the road is, seems to be like pockets all up and down this thing." And I said, there's like two or three more little ridges that I haven't been to yet. And I think, if we hunted hard, there's going to be stuff there. And so we got there, and I pointed him out. I said, "Start right there and hit right for that tree. Just swing it and dig anything that beats." And I come back over about half an hour later, and he's already got 4 bullets. And nobody else had this thing.
He's hooked.
Going, "Man," he goes, "Man, I was yelling for you when I found the first one,
Yeah.
But and I said, "Well, we got our earphones on and everything, it's kind of hard to hear sometimes." But I said, "Man, that's pretty cool." I said, "We haven't even found anything." You see, so he ended up using my machine for, I don't know, a couple of years, and I told him, no problem, just, I got all these other machines. I think I had about 8 machines at the time, or 6, but I was always buying and trading and selling, and but he ended up buying a Bandito, a Toro Bandito, and he did really well with that one, and then he got a Nautilus, and now he's got the Equinox 600.
Mm-hmm.
So,
well, we got like Scotty D on here, Craig. He's talking about a I've been meaning to mention this throughout the show because he actually put this on earlier, but multiple occupancy sites, Native American to pioneer settler, and then you find, we were talking about the in their gun flints or whatever. He finds a lot of used ones on his sites, and the gun flints you can see where the hammer strikes the flint to create the spark. He's obviously in an area where he can find. I've never found one myself, but I mean, it's like arrowheads too. For me, it's a crapshoot. I found a stone hammer or stone axe. Didn't even know what it was for the first 2 years I had it. I had it sitting in the flower garden, for crying out loud. On top of I had a tree, turned up like a pole, like in the ground right there, and I had the old conch shells and everything, and I had this rock up there. I thought it was pretty cool looking, a lot of different angles. It turned out to be a stone axe, and I just thought it was really cool, and not knowing and keeping it anyways. And here I had it sitting outside and everything. Of course, now it's inside in a showcase and everything. But I found out that while I was out metal detecting, you have a lot of sight finds, stuff that's out of place. I found I was hunting with Tim Glick up there in up where he lives at a couple of years ago, and found that kilt, whatever it's like a tomahawk, but it's smaller. Stone, hatchet, whatever. Found it in the field when we were metal detecting, and it's just, you're looking around and something doesn't quite fit the way the color of the rock, the way, the shape of it or something like that. It was stuck in the ground, and I could see it, and I reached out and picked it up. I said, my God, that looks like something. Oh my God, it has an edge, and you can see where they sharpened it or tried to sharpen it and everything. And, you start finding stuff, arrowheads and stuff, you're on a totally different kind of, I don't know, a treasure hunt. You're looking for other stuff, and then you start getting into this and start, like looking at YouTube videos and everything else. And there's some guys out there that find some incredible, spearheads and arrowheads and points, whatever you want to call them, scrapers and all this stuff. And then you start getting into the pottery and everything, and it just, I don't know, it just kind of leads you into a whole new kind of hobby. I don't know, it's not for me really, but I like finding the sight finds. Some of these guys, man, they go, it's like gold prospecting. It's something I like to do, but it's a hell of a lot of work for unless you really have a good spot, but you don't mind the work because it's fun.
Well, the good thing about some of my spots, they were like, Indian, colonial and Civil War stuff there. And it was just a great place to camp. It was a high spot right between, two creeks, major creeks, and about a mile and a half from Potomac River, maybe less. And, just huge, vast woods, it just went on forever. And now it's all developed. But,
right.
It's like when they bulldozed, it was, you couldn't walk 10 feet without seeing a chip on the ground. I dug, there was days where I got, 5 or 6 areas, full ones.
I just never have the luck with them, Craig. I mean, I've been to a spot over here in Lake Pan where, my God, there's scrapers everywhere. I mean, little chunks, shards, whatever you want to call them. I'm hunting with a buddy of mine that has done this for his, since he was like 10 years old or something, and has 5-gallon buckets full of arrowheads and this and that and the other thing. He's hunting with me. We're looking around on the ground and everything, and he finds a arrowhead every time you turn around, and all I have is a whole cup. I had a plastic 44-ounce cup, and I was putting these shards in. I was finding that kind of looked neat, and these drills and everything, and he's finding all the good stuff, but I'm sitting right here in Point Heaven, and I couldn't find any. So I guess you train your eyes to it. But.
Well, it's like when I was a kid, my dad, was a super visual person, and he would just walk along. We'd go boating a lot along the Potomac River and stuff, and we'd, stop and walk along the beach, maybe have lunch there, and we'd walk around, and he'd always pick up an arrowhead or something, along there. I remember that years later, and I didn't realize that, after he died, when I was going through his stuff, he had boxes and boxes of arrowheads and all kinds of weird rocks and, all kinds of different kinds of arrowheads. Some of them were made out of this black kind of rock.
Onyx, almost like a black, yeah.
Yeah. I think he found those more down in central Virginia probably. And then there were some that were he'd actually found, I think, in Arizona. He's into white sands and stuff.
Well, I think they traded this stuff too. I mean, we find that stuff down here. I mean, a buddy, like I said, that friend of mine, he has bucketfuls of arrowheads of different kinds, colors, shapes. I mean, because they traded this stuff amongst themselves. I'm sure it was like currency almost. These different kind of, they make the points out of.
I found mostly quartz ones in it's the area where I found all the reals, and they had the Fort Texas camp. That place is just unbelievable. I found stuff for 4 years there, and the amount of arrowhead stuff and scrapers. There were so many scrapers. It was unbelievable. But I hadn't developed an eye. My dad had the eye for it, and I didn't. But
I tried to, Craig. I just never have found. I don't think I've ever found an arrowhead.
Well, one day I found one, and I thought, well, actually, I was up there meloteching one day, and I saw this guy that looked like Indiana Jones. He outfitted just like him, and it turned out to be this guy that lived in the neighborhood. A quarter of a mile away, and so we got to talking, and I was telling him what I'd known about the area, and he didn't know any of that. But so he pointed down that it was like a terrace place going down the power line, and it went all the way down to the creek, to Summit Creek, and I was like at the very top, and the Texas camp just to the left, and it went down that ridge just inside the woods there. And unless you got inside the woods, you wouldn't even know it was there. But and then the crossing on the other side was up on another ridge was the Wright House or the Wright Tavern, and that's all the way to the Potomac Creek, so about a mile back was just nothing but artifacts and Indian era, stuff in the ground. It's unbelievable. I had years, I think one year I dug 300 buttons, and I think I got seven silver coins, and I think 5 were reals.
Jeez,
that year. And somebody said, "Man, you don't think that many coins anymore," And I go, "Yeah, I don't care. All I care about is these reals. That's what I want."
Right. I want old stuff, old coins, old buttons, old whatever.
But I got so where I could just walk along, and my subconscious would see the arrowhead laying on the ground, and I just, but I trained myself. It took a while.
Right.
But I started, any little white piece of rock, I would pick it up, or I'd look at it, or, examine it. And sometimes I started realizing, this is actually a work piece of flint or quartz. And so, after a while, it was just, it stood out to me, but in the beginning it didn't.
Right.
I remember, it was 5 years ago, I was up at that place, I took you, called Breastplate Hill, and it was on my birthday, and I'm walking down this trail, and I hadn't really found much. I think I found maybe one bullet that day, and maybe a button, I don't know, but I was walking down this one side that I'd never really found a lot on, and just off the path, I looked down, there's an arrowhead sitting there, and I thought, man, why is some arrowhead just sitting on the ground after thousands of years? This one turned out to be 6,500 years old. And I always wondered, why are some arrowheads, around that Wright House, some of the arrowheads were down 3 and 4 feet down in the ground.
Right.
Still finding them when they bulldoze.
Well, that's what Scotty D's saying on here. Points, relics, and coins gather together. The activity's been there for a long time. I just never had the luck to, and then Gavin's saying, he goes, "Don't worry, Derek, I haven't found one arrowhead either. I guess I'm in the wrong country." So, but Gavin's history, Scotty's saying Gavin's history goes deeper than ours. Gavin's over in Australia, and
well, it keeps going back further and further, over there.
Right.
It's kind of like here too. I mean, it's all these discoveries that are being made, in the last 50 years, and by 20 or 30 years actually.
Right.
They're starting to find all these new, humanoid, ancestors. And now I've got 2 that go back. One goes back 400,000 years, and one goes back 2 million years.
Right.
And they don't know. They don't have any artifacts. All they know is they can tell by the genes that there was somebody, 2 others before.
Mm-hmm.
So,
Oh, I think there's a heck of a lot more going on in the U.S. prior to what they say, anyways. I mean, I'm a firm believer that the Vikings were here at some time, before Columbus and all that. And the Mayans, I don't know. I just think they don't know for sure or whatever, but I don't think it's been found yet. They're going to find more and more proof. I mean, I haven't heard a lot about it, but, they're finding, Mayan kind of looking statue as whatever in Georgia, for crying out loud. And they can't explain where they came from. I mean, I just really, I'm not dumb enough to think that we were the very first. I mean, they've said this about several other parts of the world where, I was just watching, I'm trying to remember the name of the doggone show because I just started watching it. But, it's documentaries of what in the world is it, or amazing discoveries, something like that. And I started watching, they were talking about, they never knew that this race of people was in that particular country. They're showing it 300 years before they were even known to been in that particular country. I think it was in Africa or something like that. But, they have proof now that they were here, that they built stuff, and, the way it was built and how they did it. So, there's nothing written in stone, so to speak, here in the U.S. I mean, I really think they'd been here, long before.
Well, there's all kinds of new mysteries coming out of Indonesia. There's some of the new hominoids are out of that area. There's some coming out of China.
Right.
It was predicted. I remember when they first, started talking about the Neanderthals, and they found one, I think, the Devonians, the Denisovians, whatever they're called. They predicted there was at least 16 more humanoid races just based on those, found. But, I mean, what if there was hundreds, going back a million years or more, and nobody knows? I mean, if it's true that there was a great flood on this planet, it through Noah's Ark and all that, whether you believe it or not, there was definitely cataclysms that wiped out a lot of stuff on the earth. Wiped out, the stuff that he buried. I mean, look how a coin from 1700s can get down. In some of these areas, if they hadn't bulldozed, I would have never found them.
Right.
It was too deep, 2 or 3 feet deep down in the ground, buttons down. We went through an area that they cut 4 feet off, just level 4 feet off on this whole ridge. And I'm walking with the machine over my shoulder, and my friend Mike, he bends down, starts digging up something, and I'm like, what are you digging? It's all clay, and he goes, I just got a flat button. I go, what? And I turn on the machine, and I start digging flat buttons everywhere. And
Right.
he's got an airhead. And I'm like, man, this is like 4 feet down in the ground. This is crazy.
Mm-hmm.
And, it just doesn't make any sense unless maybe that was all plowed. It probably was plowed. It probably was farmland.
Erosion, storms, earthquakes, everything.
Yeah.
Scotty says it on here. The catastrophe has eliminated all of ancient knowledge, and I'm not. I look at the human race, the civilization that, as people, I think we've always had that thirst for knowledge or adventure, or that seeking out, moving around what's over the next ridge kind of attitude. I mean, the Vikings did. I mean, all these civilizations did this at some point, or some part of their history. What says that somebody hasn't sailed across the Atlantic, or somebody hasn't sailed across the Pacific? I mean, into a different country long before we even knew that they ever came over here. It's not that far out of the realm. I mean, it seems logical to me. I mean, they found. I mean, I have a good friend of mine sent me. Craig, you've seen the photo of a Viking spearhead. I mean, it looks like a doggone Viking spearhead. I know the guy that sent me the photo, and he knows the guy very well that found it in an inland lake in Florida. in Central
Yeah.
Florida. I mean, it's to me. I mean, how many of these things do we have to find before it's just okay? They were here. We can't prove when, but we know they were here. It's just Maine and all these Northeast. I love the idea of hunting up there because I think that you can find stuff. I think people have found stuff. Maybe not said anything about it. Maybe not know what they have found. I mean, hell, I sat on a stone axe for a year and a half. Didn't even know what I had. I mean, it can happen to anybody. So yeah, I mean it's it's just the adventure of it all. But we're right at the top of the hour, Craig, and I don't know what you want to kind of talk about tomorrow morning because we do a show in the morning at 7 a.m. Eastern time called Coffee with Derek and Craig, and we kind of just pick out a topic and talk about it. But I didn't know if you had one for tomorrow morning to give these guys that are on here a little chance. Because I know Gavin. Well, Gavin, we talked to you, and it's morning there. You're having your coffee, and then you're going to work or whatever, you're home having a beer when we go on tomorrow morning. So, and then him and Bob D, and I haven't seen Peter on here tonight, but Peter's in New Zealand, and then a couple of guys from Japan, and so yeah, we get a whole plethora of people that come on in the mornings, which I really didn't think anybody tuned in. They've all catch it on the archives, which I'm glad you guys do. But I mean, what do you guys want to hear? Gavin, what do you want us to talk about tomorrow morning? Put it up on chat right there. Heck, we'll talk about it. But
yeah, I've had a couple, well, actually a bunch of people sending me messages that they were listening to the YouTube channel. I mean the podcast, and these are people that I don't even know. I've never even heard of before. So they were commenting on my YouTube channel that they listened to the radio show, and thought that was pretty cool.
I didn't even tell you, Craig. I mean, I mentioned the followers, but doggone, I think we almost 850 a month have been following, becoming followers on Spreaker.com for the show, and all different countries and everything. I think it's awesome. I mean, I don't know. We can't really talk about. I don't know what Gavin finds in Australia. I think it's interesting whatever he finds because I've never seen or heard of this stuff a lot, or in the UK or Germany or Japan or whatever else. I mean, you guys are in hot spots, I think. But it's just it's like maybe some of you haven't been to the U.S. I mean, we find Civil War, Revolutionary War stuff, and everything else, but doggone, I mean, it's all interesting to me,
Well, it's like some people kind of jealous of what I find, but they're in, I tell them, I said, yeah, but you're in a state where you don't have the history that Virginia has, or the East Coast, in general.
Oh, sorry, I'm reading the chat.
But it's based, what you're going to find is based on the history, it's like,
right.
I see guys over in Europe, and they don't really have a lot of history there, except for the Civil War. I mean, World War I and II, and that's kind of what they go for is this kind of relic,
right?
And, they do find older stuff, but it's not like certain parts of Britain and Austria and stuff. Where you're really going to find the Roman stuff. But you can't. You find stuff that the history isn't there. That's the problem.
Right.
So you just have to go with what's there. I mean, that's kind of the way it is. I mean, some people, it's like there's a lot of people at Metaltech that don't really care about relics. They just want silver coins mostly, and maybe jewelry. And that's fine. I mean, I don't really care about jewelry that much. I'm not going to throw away a gold ring if I find them.
No.
That's not really what I'm looking for. I'm looking for Civil War artifacts and old coins, basically, and colonial artifacts. So I like relics as much as I like coins. But sometimes more because they're rare.
Yeah, Gavin wants us to talk about hunting certain sites, settings, things to look out for, tips, etc. And we can do that, Gavin. I mean, that's a constant. There's a lot of topics that we talk about in the mornings. we usually will bring them back up again because there's so much information out there, and you only can get so much into a half-hour show. You know, Scotty D here, he says, how to survive without a cooling towel. I'm with you, brother, man. I tell you what, these 90, 100, and 106 degree feel like days about got me whooped down here. I'm melting away, it seems like.
Today it was 92 today, and the humidity was about the same. But I looked at the thing, as the weather, and for the next 3 days are going to be in the 70s. And one day it's going to be like 72 high. And I'm like, whoa, I can't believe I'm going to be out there.
I'm telling you, I forgot what 70 degrees feels like anymore. Well, we just had another
it's going to be in the 50s at night.
Must be nice, brother. But we just lost another kid over. I think it was Orlando or Tampa football. I think it was a football kid playing football, and he died of heat stroke. Man, we're talking kids. I mean, it wipes me out. I'm not even 50 yet, but doggone. I mean, I get so doggone hot, but I know what to look for. I mean, I just had a buddy of mine was in the post tonight. He says, he goes, I was out the other day and I had to stop. I started getting chills. And he does concrete work, putting driveways in and foundations. And he goes, I was sweating so bad, and I started getting the chills. He goes, I knew what that meant. He said, I got to stop. And I didn't know this, guys. Something to think about. If you're trying to cool down, people throw water on their head or whatever. Not always the best thing to do. I mean, believe it or not, to cool your blood down, you pour the water like a water hose, whatever, on your wrists. It cools your blood better. You don't want to douse yourself with cold water, put your body into a shock. Or it's happened to me one time where I was working outside. I went right in the house. I was overheated, and I went in the shower like an idiot and about passed out into the shower just from the cold water. You got to be real careful with that. Yeah, but your wrist, just pour it on your, like a water hose. You can pour it on your wrist. It cools you down slower, or cools your blood down slower. You don't want to go into a shock. But yeah, it's just one of those bits of information. But it happened to him the other day, and this guy's a lot more active than I am, and everything, in better shape. And he goes, yeah, it happened to anybody. I said, yeah, I get working outside too, and I go through and the other day I was out digging a trench, and I ain't even exaggerating, Craig. I just took off my shirt. It was so soaked, stuck to me. And I wrung it out, man. It was like I had it in the water, and I just was wringing out a washcloth. I'm like, okay, well, it's time to sit down and have a glass of iced tea and cool down a little bit, get another shirt on, and go to it again. But, you get out there metal detecting. Be careful, because, you get into the zone, you start finding stuff, and before you know it, you've been hunting for 2 or 3 hours, and you're starting to dehydrate. And, if you're not familiar with the feeling, guys, man, if you're not feeling right, you're feeling woozy, you start, you start getting the chills. That's what gets you. It's 100 and some degrees out. Why would you be getting the chills? I mean, know yourself, know the way you would normally react. And if something's out of the ordinary, stop, take a break, drink some water. You don't want to get, be out in the middle of nowhere and freaking pass out or die from it. I mean, it's a fine line.
It's funny how the humidity can get you worse than the heat almost.
Yeah, it's been real bad down here lately, and it feels. You get to know the heavy.
You just start sweating. You just start sweating so much that you lose.
When you could stand outside for 3 minutes and start sweating, and it doesn't matter, who you are, whatever. You know that. It's hot. It's heavy. You can feel it in your lungs. Of course, try to stay in the shade if you can, hunt in the woods or whatever. I mean, sometimes you don't have a choice, but it affects everybody in some way, shape, or fashion. The one thing I figured out, if I can work outside most of the day, when I come in the house, I keep my air conditioned at 78 degrees. A lot of people keep theirs lower than that. But I've kind of trained myself, because when I go in the house, it feels cold in here. I know that, my body's getting more used to the outside. If you sit behind a computer all day in the air condition, it's going to affect you 20 times worse going out there for 1 day a week out in this humidity. Just know your limits a little bit. Take your time and enjoy yourself. Don't overdo it. I don't mean to harp on it.
just go out for, if you know, normally hit for 5 or 6, 7 hours, just go out for 2 or 3, you know. I see these guys, it's called Dig the Peep, and they got a pretty good channel. They're basically coin hunters, and they've been going out in these, you know, open fields and it's 90-some degrees, and you know, they want to keep their channel going, and you know, and keep the, you know, people watching and stuff, you know. And I'm like, man, you know, these guys are looking pretty bad sometimes. And I'm like,
yep.
You know, but you know,
Well,
that's
Scott,
kind of how it is. But
yeah, Scott says night hunt. Yeah, I used to night hunt all the time. I just haven't had a chance to recently. But I night hunt beaches. I like hunting a beach at night. If I hunt fields or something like that, you know, Scott said, you know, also woods and shady areas. Yeah, if you can do it, do it. I mean, it, you know, just sometimes you don't have a choice really, but you know, definitely night
like
hunts.
in my
the way to
yard,
do it.
it's just like in my yard. There's certain parts of the yard, certain parts of the day, there's, you know, shade, you know, and that's, you know, I usually go out around 3:30 in the afternoon. It seems like there's a lot more shade in certain areas, but
Right.
like the house blocks a lot of the, you know, there's a whole bunch of shade in my front yard because the sun's behind the house at that point of the day, so I can hunt that one area that's, you know, pretty much has a lot of coins. That's most of where all the coins are found.
Right.
But you know, and then there's a tree. There's a couple big trees, you know, and I can go up even when it's pretty sunny. I can go up under those and hunt. But man, it's brutal, and the ground is pretty dry too. But we've been getting storms. It seems like once, you know, in the morning when I go out in the morning, it's definitely a lot cooler.
Right.
Even though it's getting up into, you know, close to 90 and stuff, but it got up to 92 today. But you know, the humidity was just a killer. I walked 2 blocks, you know, block up to the post office and a block back, and I could feel my, you know, arms would start to pop out and sweat and stuff. But,
Yeah.
It's not a good day to be out.
No. But yeah, we'll probably wrap it up for right now, Craig. We'll talk about that, Gavin. You have a good night, and Gavin's he's gonna talk to us again tonight.
Yeah.
But Scotty, thanks for all the info, brother. It's nice to, you know, that's what I love about the chat, you know, because you guys can get involved in the conversation too that way. You know, we're gonna do these shows, you know, Mondays and Fridays, sometimes Wednesdays. It just, you know, that day is kind of weird for me. Sometimes I have to be at the, you know, have her to the doctor at, you know, 8 o'clock in the morning. Of course, I can't do a show when I'm traveling 70 miles or whatever to get there. So, you know, Wednesdays are kind of hit or miss, but we try to do them every Monday and Friday at 7 a.m. And then, of course, our regular shows on Thursday and Saturday nights at 8 p.m. Eastern Time. So, you know, be sure to tell a friend. You know, we don't do a lot of advertising or anything like that, but they might enjoy the show. Let them know where they can find it at. We're on Spotify, iHeartRadio, a whole slew of them, Apple Core Media, all that stuff. So you can find us somewhere. Facebook, yeah, Instagram. We got Patreon. We're looking for, you know, supporters and people that want to be, you know, help us out, help them out, you know. So you can get to that at patreon.com/hardcore metal detecting. And, you know, as we meet our goals for that, we're going to, you know, be able to do a lot more. So anyway, Scotty says, I've been documenting my hunts as to the humidity, dew points, water grains, and moon phases. I may have lost my mind too soon to tell. Oh my God. That's what I like about chat. You know, it's a whole different, they get me laughing.
You do astrological metal detecting.
Hey man, hey, I don't knock anything till you try it, right? So.
Yeah.
All right, guys. Well, have a good night. We'll talk to you tomorrow morning. Make sure you have plenty of good, strong coffee. That's what I need, 2 or 3 cups before I start the show. And that sometimes doesn't work, but all right, Craig, I'll talk to you later, brother. And you guys have a safe night or day, Gavin. We'll talk to you later. Get out there, keep digging, and God bless.